What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. This is Elephant in the Room, the show that brings great local music talent right to your living room. Tonight's band can only be described as the Misfits have a baby with the Clash in the green room of the Apollo Theater. So without further ado, I bring you Fornis.
Put my street, it don't come my way. One thing for sure, I have a few, so I can have my way with you. I'm blacked out and about the town, you see, so I just always have to read. Blacked out and about the town, I'm gonna find somebody new. Wait and see. I end up all by myself. Part of the plan, when they converge, I melt it down, but it doesn't hurt. I got in mind something that's new. I'd love to find a pretty girl like you, but I end up blacked out and about the town. Well, that's always happened to me. Blacked out and about the town. I'm home by somebody new, but it's really blacked out and about the town. Now, I don't ever listen to nobody else. I'm blacked out and about the town. Something happens, I end up all by myself. Something happens, I end up all by myself. All by myself. All by myself.
Fornis, guys, that was amazing. Thank you so much for coming in. Please introduce yourselves.
Well, I'm Todd. I play guitar and I sing and I write songs. This is Dragon, Key Dragon. He's the key guy, and he does the bass too, which is very unique. And that's Robert Bingham. He plays the drums.
So I have to ask, like right off the bat, why no bass player? You guys have a keyboard player, but why no bass player?
Well, I mean, we had a bass player for a while, and he was a great bass player. He's a virtuoso style bass player, but he left the band, and then we tried to get a new bass player in, and it just never happened. And my old style, because I'm classical, I went for starting to play the bass, and we started doing new bass lines with just me playing them, and it worked out great. And you know, we've been tight ever since with it.
That's awesome because it works so well for you guys. It works really well for the sound.
I
as
would have
well.
never considered it. I would have never thought of it. But after auditioning a few guys and, you know, going, oh, well, this and that, he says, well, why don't I just do the bass? I go, what do you mean? Why don't you just do the bass? Is that even a possibility? And he's like, well, yeah, I do that.
What was the process for you guys in that? Because it had to have been a bit of a transition going from a bass player in the band to the keyboard player playing bass. Like, tell us about that transition.
Well, it really wasn't too big of a transition. You know, honestly, I thought it would be a big deal, a huge deal, and a new learning curve. But he's pretty adept at that. Like he said, you know, he's been doing that a long time. And he'd been, right? You've done it in a lot of bands.
Yeah. I mean, I'm classically trained, so I'm used to doing, you know, bass with my left hand and treble with my right. And I played in bands like Aftershock and Ninth Wave, and I was the bass player for those bands. So I'm just used to the synth bass. Plus, I love, you know, that synth pop sound.
That's awesome. So when you talk about your background, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I was classically trained. I had a bunch of private teachers, and then I went to Sac State, and I actually was a piano major for a while. And then I realized they started to get into new modern American classical music. That wasn't my style. It was atonal. And I learned enough to go out on my own, so I started just doing my own kind of music and just, you know, playing the classical style, but with keyboards. And that's why I ended up tiered keyboards, so I could do bass on one, trebles, and different sound effects on another one.
Gives you a little bit of range while you're standing up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
That's
just
awesome.
been developing that ever since.
That's incredible. How did you guys come about originally? Like, what was the formation? What's your origin story?
Well, I guess it's kind of funny. We all end up coming together in the end, but and I knew Rob way before I knew Dragon, but the beginning of this band was Dragon and I got together playing in an Elvis cover band because he has his thing going and I had my thing going, but there was a little bit of downtime, so there's a guy that we knew that was doing an Elvis thing, and we both jumped in and did the Elvis cover thing. He did the keys. And it gave me an opportunity to play more guitar, you know, not just be a rhythm guitar player, but play lead guitar and sing backing vocals. Before then, I was used to just singing a lot of lead vocal, you know, writing my own stuff. But I thought it was a good opportunity to get with him and learn a new craft and hone my skills a little bit and learn some stuff. So we played with this Elvis cover band for a while, and then we had a drummer in this band for a while, and about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we got Rob on, and we're all together.
How'd you guys find Rob?
Oh, Rob and I played in a band before all that stuff, so that was easy, you know. It was just like, hey, do you know any drummers? I'm like, well, you know, I know a drummer I played with in the band before I met Dragon, so... luckily, Rob wasn't doing anything else, and he was still in town. And I said, you know, I told these guys, hey, just relax. I know the perfect guy. If he's available, we're going to bring him on. He's going to nail it. He's a quick study, and he's going to jump right in. He's going to accentuate the stuff that we need to accentuate. And in a month, we were playing shows. You know, we brought him in and then drilled a bunch of stuff, and then we were playing shows.
How much material did Rob have to learn coming in? So we say you're playing shows, you're playing like 45-minute sets, you're playing like 3-hour sets.
3 hours.
Yeah,
they
were longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a quick learner.
Yeah, I probably learned 35 songs or so in the first month.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It wasn't my first time.
Where are you guys based out of?
And what's the answer?
Kind of the divide.
The garage. Yeah. Well, I'm from Georgetown. He's from Grass Valley
Pilot
area.
Hill, Auburn.
Pilot Hill,
California.
Auburn.
Where are you guys playing most right now?
We play everywhere from Grass Valley to Auburn to the Divide to Georgetown to. We
Sacramento.
just played in Folsom the other night. We played in Sacramento. We go to Concord every now and then. So everywhere between Concord and Nevada City, and I guess here. I guess I don't know.
You guys have a really energetic sound. Do you guys find that it's harder to get venues to say yes with that sort of sound, or is it easier where they're just like, yeah, you guys are super energetic, we really want you to come in? Like, what's that like when you try to book a gig?
I guess it just depends. A lot of people now, it seems like they want to hear things that are familiar. And things that are familiar aren't necessarily energetic or not as energetic. They're just familiar, you know, things that have already been done, cover bands. So it seems like, a lot of the opportunity is in playing cover tunes. So we got to work that much harder pushing our original stuff, because we write what we do and we have conviction in what we're writing. And we believe people need to hear more original stuff. And that's what we take pride in doing. So it puts your back against the wall a little bit nowadays, it seems like, but we know there are venues out there and places to play that embrace that. It's just a matter of finding it.
This time I'm done thinking about you, 'cause every other time I do, I get a little more confused. I feel more confused. Could it be the whiskey you see, or all the weed that's in my bleed? But it's the clarity that seems to elude me. It seems to elude. I really want to hear you tell me straight to my face. Tell me, where were you when I needed you? Well, option one is taking the plunge, expunging all the crumbs from the past and usher in the new. What a beautiful view. I pull away and pushed another. Got a big lip chick, loose lips, loose hips. I can't lose. I just can't lose. All I want to hear you try to tell me straight to my face one time. Well, your eyes tell me, where were you when I needed you? I really want to hear you tell me this straight. Well, your eyes tell me, where were you when I needed you? I stood there to wait and wait. You left me standing in the rain. Seconds turn to minutes, then minutes turn to hours, and it absence without any shame. Well, I don't want to hear it all from anybody else, or what you say, or what you do. I don't want to hear it all from anybody else, all the common practices you. Where you say you're here, and you wind up there, and avoid all the visual proof. You never interfere with the story to interject the truth. There you are.
So you guys are you're working on a new album, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
This is the third album for you guys. Is that right?
Yeah.
Depends on if you count the singles or not, you know?
Yeah, we have a single and an EP mixed in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about. Just give us the broad strokes of what the album is for you guys right now.
I think it's the best we've ever done. We are at our apex of being as a band. It's rocking. It's totally kicking ass. I'm thrilled about every little bit of it. You know, it's come through really well. We recorded it really well. We've done our due diligence. It just feels really good. You know?
How long have you guys been working on it so far?
What would you say?
Started in August. Yeah.
In August, okay.
Started recording the drums in August, I believe.
So we're going on like pushing 4 months.
How many songs?
Do we have 8?
Yeah, 8 plus additional one.
8 plus
We're
an
gonna
additional
do-
one, yeah, that we're
we're
gonna
gonna do-
sneak in
we're
there,
gonna
but
sneak
don't
in
tell anybody. It might be a secret song at the end of the album.
And then we recorded a song that was pretty much like one of Todd's staples throughout the years that I knew Todd as an artist. There's a song in this phrase that anyone that was a fan of anything he had done knew this phrase, but it had never been put down on record. So we decided to do it live in the studio. And the title
Right.
is called Georgetown Bobby. And I can't say it for
Oh, you're talking about Georgetown Bobby, yeah.
so
yeah.
we finally put down like a little history of his songwriting capabilities and his skills that are well known in like the local music scene. And a lot of people that knowing him, they've been begging for this. They've been wanting to hear that, and so we captured it, and we're really looking forward to getting it out there for all our fans.
And it was a tough one to capture too because it's an off the cuff song. There's no real script to it. There's no this many measures, any of this, any of that. It's based on just feel, and we roll through it live all the time. So we were able to do it in the studio, and it didn't cost too much, did it?
No, I think we did it in a take, actually.
Yeah, it was like $20, $30.
Yeah, something like that.
I kind of doubt that.
Yeah.
No, actually, this one we did. This one we decided that when we were tracking the drums, we wanted to do this song, and we wanted to do the song live in the studio. With the rest of our songs, when I was tracking the drums, were to a click, to the metronome, because we wanted to be like industry standard. We want you to hear it and have it be as perfect as it can be. But this song, get rid of the click, let's do it organically, and we did it in a take.
Yeah, one take. Yeah.
One take, and it's gonna be cool.
Yep, Georgetown Bobby.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And one take for a song like that, I think in my experience so far with you guys kind of embodies what you do just a little bit. Like just going in there and throwing everything to the wall, saying we're gonna do it one take. Screw it.
Heck yeah.
It's done. It's done. Right.
Throw it out there. Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about your transition between your early stuff to the stuff that you're recording now? Because I know that anytime a band's working on new stuff, like this is the new stuff, you guys are energetic about it. This is what you guys are now, like you said at the Apex. Tell us how it's different from earlier stuff. Like what's that journey that you guys have made?
Oh, geez.
There's a few ways.
Yeah. What do you think?
I mean,
Give your interpretation.
because when we first got together, I mean, like when we met in the Elvis band, I was really kind of just playing as a piano player. So there wasn't any knowledge of me doing bass and different synthesis kind of stuff. And when I first started playing with Todd with Fornis, he was more interested in just the traditional sounds like choruses, strings, and stuff like that. So some of the first album stuff has more of those traditional sounds in it. And then he developed more as a songwriter, just more complex phrasings and bridges and stuff. And some of our newer stuff is the most complex stuff we've ever done yet. And he's been more open to incorporating new sounds that I've been coming up with, and so it's been evolving with better sounds and better song structures. That's how I've been seeing it go.
Yeah, I can see that.
Sound, song structure, instrumentation change at all in that? Or?
Well, just kind of learning how to utilize the more things that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And because, initially it's a pretty basic format and we're just trying to do rock and roll songs. But, as time went on, like he said, certain songs took a persona of themselves. It was like, you can't just, a lot of people would like to throw that onto some sort of format, some verse, chorus format. But it just doesn't work. And when you sit there and you listen to it and you feel it and you go, that just doesn't work. And as a songwriter, I'm always looking for different ways to make it work. It just has to work. You know what I mean? There's no other way around. It either works or it doesn't work. So we're always trying to challenge ourselves into doing things different. I'm always trying to challenge myself into doing things different. And you just got to keep working the project until it actually works.
It feels right.
Yeah, you know it. You know it when it feels right, and you know it when it feels wrong. And you can sit there and we sit there and practice and go, yeah, well, it just kind of drags a little. We don't have a stopwatch or any clock going saying this thing's 3 minutes and 45 seconds. You just know. So we just kind of fill it out. It's a learning a progress, and we're learning off each other all the time.
Tell us about the space that you guys recorded the album in.
Well, we did the drums at the Puss Cavern in Sacramento. The legendary Puss Cavern. Joe's killer. He knows what he's doing. He's got a great reputation. And it isn't a fluke that he does. And then we do the rest in our studio, in our practice space at my house. Yeah. He and I have been working together on doing recordings together for a long time. Before I got with him, Rob and I had worked on doing recordings together for our old band. So by the time all three of us got together, and before all that, he'd been doing his own recordings. So before all that, by the time we all got together, it was like, well, we all have experience behind the console. We all have production experience, a little bit of engineering experience, and whatnot. So it's just, like I said earlier in the day, everything's coming together. The times are working towards each other, and here we are at that point in time. It's ripe.
It's awesome.
It's ripe for the picking right now.
It is awesome.
Tell us about working in Puss Cavern, doing all the drum tracks there. How was that?
Easy. 8 hours, 8 tracks, and the drummer's out of there. Pretty much.
Just like
See,
that.
Yeah. We rehearsed it to
Thanks,
click
Joe.
prior. We spent a couple months talking about it, leading up to knowing we were going to do the drums in a studio and weren't going to do it ourselves. We practiced to the metronome. We wrote down the timing, the BPMs that we wanted each song to be at, what felt right to us. And so we nailed that into the ground. Then we went in the studio, and here I am under pressure. Give me that click. And, a couple takes here and there. And I think I did 2 songs in 1 take, as clean as I could, because I was rehearsed, ready to go, motivated, stoked. Just couldn't wait to get in there and work with Joe Johnston, like the dude that did Cake, super stoked about that. And it was a great experience for me. Having only done a few kind of professional studio sessions here and there, minus the stuff that I did myself, being in that room and letting my drum set, like, kind of just the sound of that room, I knew that's where I wanted to be. And I knew it before we went there. We discussed it, rehearsed it, and it was awesome. And it shows on this album.
Okay, let's do this. Listen, so I can say a small admission that I don't pay, positions that I don't face, admissions that I don't pay. Of all I managed to lose, I'm saving this one for you. Of all I managed to lose, we're saving this one for you.
Guys, tell us about the mannequin.
Well, that's Ginger. She goes to all the shows with us, and she's seen some road wear, that's for sure, and some aggressive patrons in the bar scene. But you know, she's withheld all that very well. Her right arm falls off a little bit more often than her left arm does. But you know what? She's there for us, and she's there for Rob. And the funny thing about her is, I just always liked the fact that there were we had fake people to come to the show with us, because what we're doing and what we try to do is the exact opposite of anything fake. It's just true feelings, true real emotion. It's three guys doing what their heart tells them to do, and we can have that contrasted with some mannequins, and then it's up to the people hanging out and dancing along and doing the twist and the jive or whatever they're doing to our music to have fun with them, and it never fails. They always seem to have fun with them. And we titled the new album Plastic Face because it's just kind of a common theme, you know. I write about fake people, fake things, people that are real, that think they're real, but maybe they've been on drugs too long or something, and they just don't get the joke, or they're just a little bit too inundated with artificiality and consumed with other things than being totally whole and totally real and totally grounded. So I don't know. I like mannequins, and we figured Plastic Face would be a great title for the new album.
So with all that said about your music, how can people get a hold of you? How can people hear your stuff?
They can find us at facebook.com/Fornis Rocks. That's the main way. CD Baby is where we sell our albums. They're for sale there. We have a regular old website like everyone else does too, and it's www on the Facebook page and on the website for the ability to get merch remotely. But at this point, you got to come to a show and see us and party with us and hang out with us and dance with us and dance with the Ginger to get a t-shirt or a tank top.